Howdy, I am the Invertebrarian. Now, many of you know I keep different types of aquatic snails, and one thing I have been researching quite a lot recently is how to get rid of these things. These are electrically run water filters that quite often get backed up, needs lots of cleaning, and quite frankly, I absolutely hate them. But before we get into that, thank you for joining us here today on the channel. If you like the content, please do, of course, consider subscribing because it really helps the channel out. Now, let's get on to how we went about dealing with the problem of those stinky pieces of So here we have the original tank, and here we have the tank once the snails are removed, and the rocks and all the internal gubbins. We've just popped a couple of pebbles in there to raise that back up a little bit. We're going to play about with the materials we're putting into the tank before we put the substrate in, so we can kind of build a picture in our head of how it's going to look once the substrate actually goes in. But first and foremost, we're going to play about with creating depth and shape, because it's not a huge tank, but we want to try and give it a bit more character than it previously had. Now we've set it up how we kind of wanted it. We've put a fine layer of sand across the bottom there. There's also a bit of sort of coir and dirt mixed through there, just to try and give it a slightly more naturalistic look on the base level once everything's settled into the tank. What we're doing here is we're using a fine mist. This helps wash down the sides of any debris that perhaps has got stuck to the sides as we redecorated the tank there. Also puts a bit of weight into that ground layer we have there, so that hopefully as we start to add in the main body of water, it won't become so unsettled. I mean, it won't take as long for the tank to settle once the rest of the water is placed into it. So here we're adding a bit of aquatic grass that I took from my garden pond. Although knowing apple snails, I don't expect this grass to last very long, but it might make the tank look nice for a brief moment in time. Into that we've added a few more aquatic plants we've taken clippings off from the outdoor pond, after giving them a rinse of course to make sure we're not bringing in too many other additional life forms. We'll give the top of the tank a clean using a little fish net just to get rid of some of that debris. So now into the main part of this plan. Now the idea is we want to remove the nitrates that are going to build up in this tank. Normally the filter would do that, but we're trying to get away from using these electrical filters, and what we're going to do is we're going to be using surface plants, because whilst the aquatic plants do deal with nitrates and turn them into oxygen, they don't take enough of the bad nitrates out as we are what to do, because we're doing all the filters. So what we're going to do is use these pathos where we've rinsed away the soil from the roots, and we're going to put those roots, nice long roots, into the tanks. The roots will add somewhere for the animals to hide, create this lovely underwater root system, and hopefully the plants will grow above, and those big roots, those nice big fat chunky roots, will draw up the nitrates, feed the plant in turn will produce oxygen and help the water clean and maintain a nice healthy balance within the water parameters. What we'll be doing for the first week is we'll do a 50% water change every day, just to try and help prevent that build up of nitrates whilst the ecosystem stabilises and builds itself up. So it's now been not quite a week, but nearly been a week. And as was suspected, the aquatic grass has been absolutely decimated by these guys, but some of these other plants look to be faring not too bad. And when we come up and we look at the actual main plants, we can see like so this one seems to be sprouting up a new shoot here, meaning that the plants are doing okay. We also have the smaller one here in the corner. Hopefully that will root down. Because we were doing one tank, we figured we may as well do ram's horns. Now I have just done a 50% water change on both these tanks, and ram's horns has kicked up a wee bit more stour. With the ram's horns we have also added in a spider plant in at the back there. I'm probably going to add another one into here at some point in time. And secondly to that, the other plant, because obviously these guys will produce waste and we need to somehow deal with that waste. So the other thing I'm planning on doing at some point in time is probably adding in some small shrimp into particularly this tank. You can see some of the babies up the back there, quite a lot of babies on the rock. So during the day, I like to get the windows open, allow the sunlight to crack through. I probably will take clippings, as I say, off the spider plant and plant it into these tanks as well. But it's a slow, taking my time, want to get this right process. And I think overall, the tank looks way better than it did initially. What do you think? As mentioned there, this is a process that's being built up over time. We don't want to rush this, and we don't want to risk the welfare of the animals. They certainly seem to be enjoying their new environments, especially those apple snails that seem to be a lot more active. Maybe it's just because they've got more plants to destroy, I don't know. I want to introduce other life into these tanks, so at some point to help with the processing of the waste materials, I will probably introduce some small cherry shrimp or something along those lines, not yet fully decided. I will probably add more plants into the tanks, obviously the rams, because there's a higher number of rams in there, they will produce more waste, meaning more nitrate builds up, meaning more processing needed to deal with all that. So we want to get more plants in there, absolutely, most certainly nice big thick root systems to create a very natural looking environment for our snails to live in. But that is it. Let me know what you think. Obviously I've kept the electrical pumps. Should anything seem to be going wrong, I can put the pumps back in, but I really want to try and avoid that, because personally I think they look way better without the pumps and without the use to consume more electricity. I think it's brilliant, and as I say, I will monitor it, I'll keep an eye on it. It's not quite been a week, so I'll continue to do those 50% water changes over the next few days, and hopefully in a later video we can come back, we can see those plants having flourished. Hopefully the spider plant will grow in there. As I say, I'm going to add hopefully more plants into it, but in the meantime, that is it. It's been a really interesting, I would say experiment. It's not really an experiment because I know it can be done. It's been an interesting journey. If it's something you are thinking of doing, obviously look into the size of your tank, the types of plants you want to be using, and obviously put the welfare of your animals first. Don't just rush into this and risk your fish or your snails or whatever you happen to be keeping aquatically. But anyway, in the meantime, thank you ever so much. If you've enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing to the channel. Let me know what you think, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you ever so much to every single one of you that takes the time to watch my videos, and please do pop your comments below, because that's the best part of all of this. Anyway, thank you ever so much. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you and goodbye for now. Bye bye.